White House seeks plan for possible Russia sanctions relief, sources say. Hey guys, how's it going? So, Russian firearms and ammo are banned from import to the United States, and all of this started over a decade ago. Is there a chance that we'll be able to get these Russian firearms and ammo back into the United States again? Maybe. There's some new breaking news that might give us a little bit of hope, but I'm going to explain real quick and then we're going to get into a new article that I just found yesterday. So if you've been following this channel from a long time, basically since the beginning of me doing videos, I've said, look, this stuff's been banned, it's gone for good and gone. And that is generally how it works, especially when we see these dual purpose sanctions that are not only meant to economically affect the so-called enemy country, but also, let's face it, as a way to do gun control on the American people. Now, if you're new here, welcome. It's good to have you, and I hope you enjoy the video. And I'm going to give you guys just a real quick timeline of these different sanctions, in other words, import bans into the United States from Russian firearms and ammo. So let's go back to 2014, during the Obama administration. There were economic sanctions due to the rising tensions and developments in Ukraine and Russia. That's hot on the news right now. This has been going on for a long time. It was announced there would be economic sanctions, meaning import bans, from a company called Kalashnikov Concern of Russia. Now, they operated under Ishmash, which if you trace back its history is actually the factory at the city of Izhevsk, which is a well-renowned factory in Russia making military firearms and ammunition for a long time. We would also see another rifle brand called Baikal, which was kind of like Target rifles and high-end sporting rifles banned, and all of their affiliates. So that stuff was the first phase, 2014. Let's move to 2017. That's Trump 45 administration, his first term. They came back and said, well, actually, the Molot company, which is another huge arsenal in Russia, is tied to Kalashnikov Concern. Therefore, those are banned. We're looking at the Vapor series of rifles and shotguns, with the previous ban, Kalashnikov Concern, affecting the Sega rifles and shotguns, meaning pretty much with the Target rifles wrapped in there with Baikal, all firearms from Russia being banned from import into the United States. But the ammo kept flowing, and it was cheap, many different calibers, not only the Soviet calibers that you think of right away, like 7.62 by 39, 5.45 by 39, 7.62 by 54R, 9 Makarov, 7.62 by 25 Tokarev, but actually a plethora of commonly used calibers in America, although the previous have been quite commonly used in this country as well. So 2021, the Biden administration puts in economic sanctions, in other words, an import ban on all Russian ammo. Now, there was a little caveat where any importers that got their import form, I think it was called the Form 6, the request to import, whoever got them approved by a certain date would be grandfathered in. They'd be able to finish fulfilling those imports. Well, now we're looking at it a few years later. Pretty much all of that is all but dried up, and you might see some sitting around here and there, but if you do, it's way up in price, and let's just say the Russian ammo has dried up since those 2021 sanctions. All right, now let's fast forward to now, and this is new breaking news. And look, I'm not saying that we're going to get Russian ammo back. I'm just saying there's a little bit of a chance. There's more hope now than there's been, quite frankly, in over a decade. So if we're going to be getting this stuff back, right now is probably the time. Again, I'm very skeptical, but a little bit of hope, so I wanted to share this with all of you. White House seeks plan for possible Russia sanctions relief, sources say. And this was reported by Aaron Banco of Reuters. So I'm going to go over a little bit of this article here. I'm not going to read the whole thing to you, but a couple parts of it are germane. March 3rd, the United States is drawing up a plan to potentially give Russia sanctions relief, as President Donald Trump seeks to restore ties with Moscow and stop the war in Ukraine. A U.S. official and another person familiar with the matter told Reuters. The White House has asked the State and Treasury Departments to draft a list of sanctions that could be erased for U.S. officials to discuss with Russian representatives in the coming days as part of the administration's broad talks with Moscow on improving diplomatic and economic relations, the sources said. The sanctions offices are now drawing up a proposal for lifting sanctions on select entities and individuals, including some Russian oligarchs, according to the sources. I remember back when some of these other previous Russian sanctions that I just mentioned a minute ago were tied to certain Russian oligarchs. And since one oligarch owned part of Kalashnikov Concern and part of Molat, those got tied in. So when I see they're talking about relieving sanctions on some oligarchs, there is some potential here for some of this stuff to come back in the country again. And let me know what you guys think. Would this be a good thing? I'm going to tell you my answer is yes, actually. I think it'd be better if we had more chances of ammo, keeping prices down. And yeah, I've been using Russian ammo for years, and it's been good stuff for me. So-called options papers are often drafted by officials working on sanctions, but the White House's specific request for one in recent days underscores Trump and his advisors' willingness to ease Russian sanctions as part of a potential deal with Moscow. It was not immediately clear what Washington could specifically seek in return for any sanctions reliefs. It goes on to talk about the war, but I'm going to skip to this part of the article, which is also germane. Trump in January threatened to ramp up sanctions on Russia if Putin was unwilling to negotiate an end to the war in Ukraine. But more recently, Trump administration officials have openly acknowledged the possibility of easing sanctions on Moscow. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said during a February 20th interview with Bloomberg Television that Russia could win economic relief, depending on how it approached negotiations in the coming weeks. Trump told reporters on February 26th that Russian sanctions could be eased at some point. So we've now got the Treasury Secretary and President Trump himself saying, yeah, this is possible. Now, they've not mentioned ammo directly, but this was part of all of these from former administrations of Biden and Obama, and actually Trump himself, his former administration. Now Trump is talking about reversing a lot of these. You see where I'm heading with this? Economic cooperation. The White House asked state and Treasury officials to devise a possible sanctions relief plan before Trump last week extended a state of emergency over the situation in Ukraine, the U.S. sources said. The state of emergency sanctions certain assets and people involved in Russia's war. Those measures imposed by then-President Barack Obama's administration have been in place since March of 2014, when Russia annexed Ukraine's Crimea. It is unclear which Russian sanctions the Trump administration would consider listing first. That's where you can all come and play and help pressure via social media. However it is we can get the word out for them to look at the ammo and firearms as one of the things they should lift first, right? Think about all of those old Arsenal AKs out of Las Vegas, and then later the Fime Group and the Molats and the Segas, and you guys know what I'm talking about, the cheap X39s and ammo 54R. Trump could issue an executive order that would allow the administration to begin the process of easing some Russian sanctions, but he would also need to seek congressional approval to list measures in certain entities, said John Smith, a partner at Morrison Forrester law firm and the former head of the Treasury Department's Office of Foreign Assets Council. Since 2022, Russia has been able to build a wartime economy with increased military spending and industrial production, but experts say the country's economy is vulnerable and in desperate need of Western sanction reliefs. So there you go, guys. Like I said in the title and in the beginning of this, will we be able to get Russian ammo and firearms in the U.S. again? Maybe, and this is the best chance I've seen in a long time. I just wanted to bring this up to get a discussion going about it, and let me know what all of you think down there in the comments. Also, as I was going through reading this article, I started reminiscing about a bunch of different Russian ammo that I've been collecting or stockpiling over the years. You know, I've been into this since 1994. My first gun was actually an SKS, so over the years I've actually accumulated quite a bit of different offerings of Russian ammo in many different calibers by different companies. You know, you've got bears and you've got tigers and wolves, and they used to put cool animals on the boxes, which I always thought was kind of cool. Let me know if you'd like me to do a part 2, just simply showing you my Russian ammo collection. It's going to take me a little bit of time to gather all of it because some of it's been stowed away for many years, but if there's enough people who are interested, let me know by leaving a comment, and I think that'd be a fun video for us to do. In the meantime, we do have AAC. That's a sister company of PSA making their Soviet arms. Steel case, 7.62x39 in Columbia, South Carolina. This has been great stuff. I'm glad they're making it. But there are other calibers right now that are pretty much void, and there aren't many options for 7.62x39 that's at least affordable in the U.S. as of now. So while I give a huge shout out to Soviet Arms, what they're doing with this ammo, I would strongly favor economic sanctions relief to allow a lot of this type stuff to come back. This is their newest offering. I've done videos when they first announced they were going to be making this ammo in South Carolina. I've done reviews on the channel in the past, and I have more footage actually with this ammo that I need to get uploaded soon. But if you'd like more information on this ammo in the meantime, check out my recent post on my locals community, and there'll be more information on that in the pinned comment. Alright, let me know what you think about me doing a Russian ammo video, just kind of showing you through the different types I have. So maybe a little education and reminiscing, and let me know what you think, and I might get that going. And let me know what you think about the possibility. Like I said, this is just a possibility, but it's the closest we've seen that maybe some of this stuff might start coming back in the country. And hey, let me know if you think that's a good thing or not. And if you'd like to help support the channel, you'll notice there was no ad read at the beginning. Check out the links down there in the description for the ways you guys can help sponsor this content and keep the channel going. Alright, thanks for watching, and have a good one.